And let's start with a cleanup. So first thing we're going to do is delete these extra cameras. And we need to make sure that these are grouped under groups that will be involved with the exporter, and they will need to follow a specific naming convention for this to work. So just a brief explanation. So if we want to export these two meshes using the SpaceApe exporter, all we need to do is group them and name it TRP. So this is a prefix we use in order to determine which folder these meshes will be exported to, and TRP stands for troop. And this is where we export all our characters. And the next one would be simply Overlord. So this is the name of the character. And just to show you how this works, I'm going to go to SpaceApe Unity Exporter. And the first time you start this, you're going to come up with this screen with these settings. And we need to find our assets folder. So we need to find the Unity folder that has all the assets. Select folder. So that's the asset folder that we need. And then if I click refresh here, it will show us a preview where it's going to export these. So it's going to export this mesh into meshes, characters, Overlord, and the FBX is going to be called exactly like the group name. So if we name it TRP Overlord Alt, it's going to call it TRP Overlord Alt FBX. So this is the exact name of the FBX. So I just call it Overlord. The other thing we need to do is, in order for the prefab creator inside Unity to pick up these as separate LODs, we need to group them in groups called LOD 0 and then LOD 1. So 0 is the higher LOD and 1 is the lower LOD. Okay, next thing we need to do, now that we have our groups, is hook up our textures. So if I open up Hypershade, there are quite a few materials in here, and we'll definitely need to clean up some of these. There's just too many. So in order to delete all the unused materials in the scene, we'll just go Edit, Delete Unused Nodes. So let's do the arms. Make sure that's pathed correctly. So all of these would repath automatically. Okay. Let's quickly check if we have everything assigned correctly. Yes. So the SpaceApe Unity exporter actually doesn't only export meshes, but it also exports textures if it finds them. So everything that we have hooked up to a material, so if I expand this one, everything that we have hooked up in Hypershade is going to get exported in Unity into a specific textures folder. So if you want to see where those will go, for example, they will be in TX clients, assets, textures, characters, Overlord, and then all the Overlord related textures will be in there. But since we have normal maps, emissive maps, and all other miscellaneous maps, we still need to hook them up for the exporter to pick them up. Otherwise, they just wouldn't get copied over. Let's hook up the incandescents for the arms. So that'll be the emissive. And that is actually black. Completely black, so I guess there is no need for this. So instead, let's just hook up the normal map. Make sure you set that as tangent space. Okay. That works. These are quite a few materials, and I have written a script that automatically hooks these up. So let's go to Overlords folder. But so in order for the script to work, each of these textures needs to be in their own separate folder. So let's separate these for now. Arms. Also, this makes things a little bit more organized, and we can actually see what is what. Let's make one for the head. Legs. And the weapon. Okay, and to quickly show you how this works, let's redo this material. So I'm going to go Space Ape Utilities, Texture Setter, and we need the T-Rex Maya in-game material. All we need to do is set the folder. So we're doing the arms. So I'm choosing the arms folder. I need to select the arms material, and simply click Set Textures. So that will automatically hook up all the required textures, which is exactly what we need. The only thing that we still don't need is actually the emissive. So I'm just going to unhook that. Actually, I'm going to delete this from the folder since it's not doing anything. Don't really need this. Okay. Overlord 0 head. So these got assigned correctly. For now, let's just hide Lord 1 so we can see what's going on. Yeah. So his eyes are glowing, everything is good. Let's do this for Lord 1, 2. Just going to copy the path of the higher resolution texture. Paste it here and just rename it to 1. Okay. So far, so good. Let's do the legs. Oh. Just noticed that he's called Overload. He's supposed to be Overlord. Let's go and rename these meshes to okay. Overlord, Overlord, Overlord. Okay. Overlord 0 leg. Let's do the same thing for this one. Actually, plural. Let's call it legs. Right. So all we have left is the weapon. Let's find the weapon. Make sure this is named correctly as well. Overlord 0 underscore weapon. Oh, let me. Just an O. Overlord, and then select the weapon folder. textures. And looks like everything is working. Let's delete any unused nodes again, just to make sure there's no excess. Cool. Let's do the same thing for LOD1. So make sure all these textures are assigned. So for this one, we don't actually need to convert it to a blend because we don't need the incandescence. The only thing we need for the LOD1 material is the diffuse. So that's the only thing we're gonna hook up. We just need to make sure that everything is named correctly. Everything is named the exact same way we did for the LOD0. So just name this overlord underscore 1 underscore leg. Make sure this is hooked up correctly. Okay. Same for this. To the weapon folder. Oops, it's PBR, wrong folder. Overlord weapon 1. Okay. Before we move on, let's set up the textures for the other form of him. So let's go into the alt mesh, save this. Let's make sure everything is grouped correctly. So we're going to group it in TRP, overlord, TRP for troop, overlord for the name of the troop. And this time we're going to add an underscore alt, and this is because we don't want to override the other mesh. So we don't want to override TRP overlord. This is a separate thing. But again, if we look at the Unity exporter setting, it will go in the same characters overlord folder as the one before. It will just slightly differently named FBX. This is exactly what we want. Again, like the one before, let's make sure these are in the appropriate groups. And since this is not the body, we need to name these alt, because the body was the other mesh. Okay. Let's see the hypershade, if we need to add any materials, and it looks like we do need to do that. So everything is assigned now. If we turn on textures, yeah, that should be okay.